It all began with a scream that could wake the dead not from a chicken, but from Linda. At 6:45 a.m., on a chilly Tuesday in March 2024, she stormed down her driveway in a garish leopard print robe and neon green slippers, clutching her phone like it was her last lifeline. "They're back. They're clucking up a storm again. Get here now," she bellowed, pointing an accusing finger at my backyard coop. My 9 hens and a particularly smug rooster named Duke stared back through the wire mesh, utterly unbothered, as if wondering why this hurricane of a woman was losing it before her morning coffee. Let me set the scene. I'd moved to a sleepy suburb outside Raleigh, North Carolina, 3 years ago after inheriting my aunt's crumbling old house. I poured my heart into fixing it up, new roof, polished porch, a backyard that looked like it belonged in a gardening magazine. But the real gem? My chicken coop, a cedar masterpiece I built myself to house my flock of Rhode Island Reds and Sussex hens. They're calm, reliable egg layers, and they never caused a peep of trouble unless your name was Linda. Linda, my neighbor 3 doors down, was the unofficial dictator of our cul-de-sac. Not an HOA officer, but the kind who memorized every rule and wielded them like a scepter. When I moved in, she showed up with a tray of brownies and a 10-page community guidelines packet. "Just suggestions," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "One rule: no livestock." I pointed out that county law allowed up to 12 hens on our lot size. Her face soured like I'd kicked her prized peonies. When I built the coop permits in order, setbacks measured, she went nuclear. Passive-aggressive notes about clucking disturbances appeared in my mailbox, despite my hens being quieter than her wind chimes. Then Duke, the rooster, arrived by mistake, and her crusade escalated. By the time she called the cops that Tuesday, I was halfway through my coffee when an officer knocked, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Linda loomed behind him, arms crossed, ready to sentence my chickens to exile. "Sir, we got a noise complaint about livestock," the cop said, barely hiding his disbelief. "You mean my hens?" I asked, still holding my mug. Linda pounced. "That rooster's been crowing since 4 a.m. This is a neighborhood, not a barnyard." The officer squinted. "Ma'am, I didn't hear anything when I pulled up." I explained Duke was a recent addition, and I was rehoming him soon. Linda scoffed. "Rehoming? That bird's a menace to my sanity." I couldn't resist. "Your wind chimes kept me up for weeks. Should I call the cops on those?" The officer sighed, scribbled a courtesy report, and left, clearly done with the drama. Linda, though, was just getting started. 2 days later, a letter from Animal Control arrived, citing noise and cruelty complaints. Cruelty? She claimed I was starving my chickens and training Duke to attack. The inspector who visited nearly choked laughing me coop was pristine, my birds fat and happy. But Linda kept at it, flooding HOA meetings with anonymous nuisance animal agendas and sending emails about avian flu and salmonella. I decided to play smart, not loud. I installed noise sensors, set up cameras, and kept a meticulous chicken log feed, eggs, behavior. When I caught Linda creeping near my fence with a tape recorder, trying to capture Duke's crows like she was filming a true crime documentary, I strolled out with coffee in hand. "Want to interview the hens for your podcast?" I quipped. She hissed and stormed off, vowing my biohazard days were numbered. But her next move was her downfall. She showed up with a clipboard and a guy who looked like he ironed his socks, claiming my coop violated zoning laws. I sent their outdated citation back with a polite note and CC'd the county zoning chief, a buddy from my old job. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his phone, confirming my coop was legal. Linda's face, when the inspector measured and declared my coop a foot beyond the required setback? Priceless. Then she crossed the line. That night, someone cut a hole in my coop's wire. Feathers everywhere, gates swinging. Hens scattered. Duke stood guard on my porch like a feathered general. My cameras caught a figure in a hoodie and Linda's signature green slippers. I filed a vandalism report, shared the footage with the HOA, and turned my coop into a neighborhood darling. I added fairy lights, a Cluckhaven sign, and invited kids to paint chicken-themed rocks. Suddenly, I was the egg guy, handing out cartons every Saturday. Linda's final gambit was a petition to ban all animal noise, complete with a PowerPoint of chickens attacking toddlers. At the HOA meeting, I presented my permits, noise data, and a clip of her wind chimes out-decibeling my hens. The room erupted. Crows, geese, even squirrels were dragged into the debate. Her motion tanked. Humiliated, she tried one last stunt. Flyers accusing me of running an illegal egg empire. The local paper ran a story, "Excellent Neighbor Fights HOA Drama," and it went viral. Linda's reputation imploded. The HOA stripped her committee roles, and soon, a moving truck appeared. She was goner, so I thought. A month later, a black SUV rolled into her driveway. Out stepped Brenda, Linda's sister, a carbon copy with even less charm. She turned Linda's house into an Airbnb, and chaos followed. Late-night parties, trash piles, a howling dog that set Duke off. Linda had weaponized short-term rentals to torment us from afar. I dug into the HOA charter, tracked guest turnover, and submitted proof of commercial activity violations. At the emergency meeting, Brenda's muffin gambit failed against my photos and noise complaints. The board shut down the rental, and Linda, lurking in the shadows, slapped a for sale sign on her house. But I had one last play. I'd bought a narrow strip of land. Behind her property, her fence encroached on it. I filed a complaint, then turned the strip into Feather Haven, a community garden with a chicken mural. Linda's protests against vegetables no less backfired spectacularly. Her house sold at a loss, and she vanished, leaving a cryptic note: "Enjoy your chickens while they last." 6 months later, a package Ayurveda plaque naming me the 2024 Poultry Peace Prize winner, complete with a chicken in a laurel crown. I hung it by the coop, where Duke eyed it suspiciously. Then came a knock. A woman, Megan, stood there, clipboard in hand, pitching neighborhood elevation for underperforming HOAs. Behind her, in a car, sat Linda, sunglasses on, sipping from a tumbler. She'd reinvented herself as an HOA consultant. I shut the door, warned the neighbors, and we planted a sign: "No HOA reboot, no Linda reboot." That weekend, we threw a party, lemonade, banjos, and a mock award for Duke, Feather Haven's mayor. The mural gained a new chicken, suspiciously like Linda being chased by a hen. As we laughed under the fairy lights, I realized we'd won not just a battle, but a community. Linda's war had forged bonds stronger than her rage could ever break. So what do you think? Was I too ruthless in outsmarting Linda, or did she deserve every bit of it? Should neighborhoods ban chickens to keep the peace, or is a little clucking worth the community it builds? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories of suburban showdowns.